Ready then, lunar ticks. Grab yourself a blanket. Grab yourself a pillow. Get on cozied up. A Picto chat background? Oh, you talking about? You're talking about the. Get cozy. Get relaxed. Don't let me hear nothing out of you. Oh, thanks for reminding me. I turned mix it up. Turn mix it up down. Oh, turn mix it up down. What is it? Oh, bad. The chat got you feeling ancient? On here, I thought you were. Yeah, the green screen kind of cooks the memes. There's not much I could do about that. If I turn it off, if I turn it off, a lot of my redeems get cooked. Like specifically, Kuru gets cooked. But I guess it doesn't really matter. It is kind of funny. I'm trying to think, what redeems do I really need the... Oh, I need it for the Totsugeki. I need it for Totsugeki. I need it for Backstreet Pool, I think. Yeah, there's a few of them. I can't separate them. Application one. Bummer. Whoever just walk up to Ho and be like, hey, I like your style. Alright, so when we left off, we were doing stuff. Now we're doing other stuff. Great. We finished chapter 6. We're on chapter 7 for the editing now. God damn. Let me just read this last part of chapter 6. I don't remember if there's something I had to change or not. And okay. Finally alone, Lucky's eyes. The fuck? Oh, okay, no. Finally alone, Lucky's eyes meandered around the room. Fine. It is cut. The couch was positioned against the furthest wall from the kitchen underneath a window. To the left, there was some extra floor space. A nightstand with a picture frame on it and a hallway. To the left, there was some extra floor space, a nightstand with a picture frame on it, and a hallway. But on the right was a TV with a gaming console and a well-crafted wooden stand. In the middle of the space, an unused kotatsu. Lucky stretched, moaning a little. I wonder if Jamie and I will ever hang out here. It's sad to see such a nice place go unused. Leaning forward, Lucky carefully placed her mug and plate on the kotatsu, sliding down to the floor. Lucky winced as her butt made contact with the ground, sending shockwaves up her body. Doubling over, she wrapped her hands around her midsection, began crying. I really wanted to hold my own, to be stronger. I can't keep relying on everyone. At this rate. Lucky's mind wandered back to a time not long ago. Multiple figures surrounded her, using various tools and magic to subdue her. I still don't understand. I didn't do anything to anyone. I didn't even fight back. Lucky began bawling and hyperventilating while trying to block out the memories. Eve, hurry up and come by my side again. Come be by my side again. An hour had passed and Lucky was sprawled across the hardwood floor. Hurry up and come be by my side again. Hurry up and come by my side again. Heard moaning and butt in the time span of 2 minutes. That's wild. We had to point that out. An hour had passed and Lucky was sprawled across the hardwood floor. Sound of a light breeze and calming rain pattered on. Eyelid was red, but finally at rest. Breathing was slow and heard in rhythm by filter. Dreams of soft beds and fried food danced in her mind while the bustle of the city droned on. Fine. Friends and enemies. Boy, are you out of your damn mind. And mine. Vladimir's voice shook his office walls and door. Amy had preemptively covered a zoo. Kinda, but like I said, before the mimic situation, it didn't make sense. I need to go back there. 30. Vladimir left. 30 mimics is the number you claim to have slain by yourself. That is correct, sir. Jamie nodded. Vladimir toyed. So here's the thing. I think I need to rewrite this entire chapter. All right, so we need to have a conversation. So originally, for the mimics, okay, let's kind of back up for a second. So there's going to be a group of individuals going around and essentially helping aid the process of creating ennobleds. Ennobleds are monsters that become sentient. They gain extra power. They're essentially, okay, take like in most forms of media, when you name a monster, when you name a creature, when you name something, it gains strength, right? Because essentially you make a pact with it, you've named it, you share mana with it, becomes stronger. The idea with an ennobled is it doesn't always get a name from somebody. Sometimes it just evolves, right? It could be a genetic thing. It could be, involvement from a human or an Aeon or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It could be that the beast itself achieved multiple feats or did something great. Like, for example, if a wyvern fought a whole pack of crocodiles and survived, there would be a possibility of that specific wyvern becoming an ennobled, right? So what an ennobled is, across all of my forms of stories so far, is, like I said, it's a beast, a creature, or whatever that becomes named. It becomes fully sentient. It essentially is like a child waking up one day getting full consciousness. They may not fully understand everything in the world around them, but they're capable of understanding. They're capable of communicating X, Y, and Z, right? The reason that's important is because ennobleds greatly tip the scales of power and the balance in whatever ecosystem they're a part of. So, for example, with that wyvern and crocodile situation, if a bunch of crocodiles are actively hunting wyverns as part of their prey or just for fun because crocodiles are dickheads, and a wyvern becomes an ennobled and there's no alpha ennobled whatever to check that wyvern can uproot an entire ecosystem essentially by itself by trying to care for its brethren, its pack, its whatever. And that extends to becoming a bigger problem for adventurers. Maybe, wyverns have a good relationship with adventurers. Maybe this one continues that. Maybe it leads wyverns to not having that. So there's just a lot of things that can change, whether it's socially, whether it's food chain wise, whatever it is, environmentally. So it's like, it's really important to keep ennobleds in check for an entire ecosystem, an entire nation to kind of just like be okay. Part of the problem with dragons, at least in my stories, is that dragons are almost always ennobled beings. It's more rare for a dragon to be not an ennobled than to be an ennobled. So dragons are just like, they're already very, very powerful. They're very, very scary. They're an insane problem. But then on top of that, they have the intelligence to become even more of a problem. And generally the rule of thumb for ennobled creatures is the more mana the thing has or has access to, the more powerful it is. and dangerous it could be. Is a noble status inheritable? It is inheritable, but it's not guaranteed. That's an important note. So for example, good old mimic friend here, he, while having a child, having multiple children, only one of them is ennobled out of the legion of children he has, right? So that's like with Slade. Well, I say all this to say, essentially there's this group. The group is a mixture of characters from different walks of life right now, and each of them have an association with a different Aeon. The reason that's important is Aeons have an association with old gods. Now, old gods and Aeons kind of became interchangeable by this point in, we'll just call it the overall timeline. In Aldust and in Aldust Kronos and in Aldust Vanguard, old gods were considered to be like the pinnacle of power. Consider them as concepts that have a will. So they're not necessarily physical. They're usually a metaphysical status. They're a metaphysical existence, if you will. But like fate exists because of an old god. You know, the power over ice magic exists because you know, old god of X exists to give it doesn't matter. But essentially in current times, old gods and Aeons are kind of interchangeable because of what Quincy and his group achieved. So there's still a faction that believes the old gods should be held in higher regard and have more power, whereas the Aeons should be like a subsidiary and just kind of like enforcers like they used to be, to carry the torch. And then through Aeons, people can get extra power, whether it be a leader, a king, or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. So this group kind of, some of them hardcore subscribe to that old ideology, which this ideology doesn't even technically exist in this realm, but they're a ragtag group of people that have knowledge from other realms because of bullshit that happened. We're not going to get into that in this story, but what we are going to get into is them trying to create ennobleds, because ennobleds are a quick and easy way to lead to a tip and balance and power. And with a group like Vanguard, much easier to fight them if you have multiple ennobleds keeping them busy. This story is not going to go into like world ending or universe ending territory, but it is going to have a lot of like interpersonal struggles and bullshit. And part of that is dealing with this specific group of members that is going around and starting shit. What is Taiga's ennobled status? Taiga's not an ennobled. What do you mean? Confused. So originally the plan was to take Slade and to take his story and have him, you definitely didn't think the watch along was tonight. I totally wasn't listening to the waiting music for the last 10 minutes. I apologize. It is tonight. My bad. I just had to move the time. Might be. Sorry, Cam. Rip. So originally the plan was to have this group try and start shit, and then it didn't work. And then so they're trying to start shit with the mimics. They're trying to egg them on to fight Aegis, start shit on Aegis so like Aegis can be invaded again, and then they'll invade Aegis and accomplish what they want to accomplish. The mimics were going to get riled up by their kind getting killed. Guild members came out to kind of take care of stuff, you know, altercations. But ultimately, Jamie and Slade had their talk, right? They're like, all right, we'll figure this shit out. And then what was going to have happen is somebody show up to the forest and be like, what's happening? And then kill some more mimics as a, you know, posing as an adventurer to restart shit up. But then I was like, what if I just introduce Slade's kid, have that be part of Lucky's quest so we can start tying things together neatly? Which is great and all, but the problem of going this route is it won't really make sense for the full force of the mimics to attack Aegis, because at worst what'll happen is one of a few things. Either Slade, there's like a mutiny, right, and he gets this usurped, or there's an usurper, which would be his son, takes over, and then it creates factions within the mimic group where some are like all for what he wants to do, attacking the humans, going about that. Some of them will just follow them blindly anyways, because like hive mind, alpha, you know, whatever, go burr. And then some of them will be like, not super comfortable with this, and that can cause a power struggle, or just like they all follow him anyways, or it splits into two factions. One follows the sun, one follows Slade, and they have their own beef while also trying to deal with other stuff. But the issue with that is that'll get quashed really quickly. And then I came up with another problem. If I wanted them to attack Aegis, right now, Jamie and a few other party members that are currently in Aegis are entirely too powerful and too strong without having other characters introduced that need to be introduced to have that invasion happen. Like, it can happen, but with the might of the Fool's Carol alone, the mimics are going to have a massive power spike from what they currently have, and the only way to do that is to either multiply their ennobleds or just like they get a new patron than what I originally gave them. And it doesn't matter because like nothing's really locked in stone yet, but there's some issues on that front, which I've been thinking about for a while. But then there's the other option, right? I just have Jamie fucking kill them all. Yeah, we just wiped them off the earth. And then instead of, I forgot the mimic's name. It was like Harmony. Yeah, Harmony, the child of Slade. Instead of having Harmony be like, fuck people, my dad's wrong, da 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 da. Harmony could be like, you killed my father and my entire family and everything. Fuck you guys, and then try to kill, you know, Lucky and them while they're at the thing. And then this way they have like an actual fight, and I could change how that goes and ends. And while it will kill an entire possible plot line, it would be a more sensible resolution, because the other thing too is Jamie is very, how do I explain this? Jamie's all about giving something that's different another chance, because let's face it, Jamie's not human, right? And in fact, he's the last one of his species. His species has been hunted to extinction, and that's why, like, with Lucky, he didn't just straight up kill Lucky, right? Or try to, put it that way. And with Slade, he was more than willing to have that conversation, stuff like that. Jamie, I wouldn't say that Jamie is a like altruistic or pure-hearted individual that just wants to like not kill things and be innocent. Jamie is a battle-crazed, like, he's not okay in the head. He's had a lot of trauma. He sees the resolution for a lot of things via violence, and he knows he's good at it, and he enjoys the thrill of battle. So he's never gonna be like, it bad to hurt people, it bad to hurt intelligent beings. He's never gonna pull that bullshit. He's just gonna throw hands when needed. So there's a lot of like, I feel like I want to say little hypocrisies with the way that I handled the whole mimic portion. So I've been kind of going back and forth on how I want to handle that, but I think ultimately what I want to do is I want to have Slade have two kids. Harmony's going to be the first one, and Slade and Harmony are going to get killed. And then there's going to be a third. The third one's not going to be seen by Jamie or any of the Fool's Carol members or anything. And what's going to happen is one of the people from the group, the unnamed group, going to show up. They're going to be like, hey, what's up, ennobled? Your whole family fucking died. What you going to do about it? And then they're going to bring the mimic on board with them. And they're going to indoctrinate the mimic. They're going to fuel this mimic, make them powerful, and go from there. I think that's probably the best way to go about it, especially if I include a character that I want to include. They're able to make ennobled into more humanoids. You think you missed something about the named ennobled thing? What part? Like what it is? You assumed all humanoids had ennobled in there? No, I see it. Yeah, so being an ennobled, think of it this way. Think of it as like a summoned familiar getting a name and gaining power, except without being a summoned familiar, right? Whereas like humans and sentient humanoids already have names, and they might get power from their name, let's say, some power from their name. They're not necessarily inherently getting it because of that. Ennobleds are able to grant themselves names if they become ennobled entirely on their own. Otherwise, they're given a name and they gain power from that. But that's reserved for beasts, monsters, general creatures. The only ones that would like get a name are werewolves, who are specifically wolf form, occasionally person, if they go unnamed, but they're not going to get a lot of power from it, if that makes sense. It's not a boon that's applied to humanoids, obviously, most of the time. I shouldn't say the only one is a werewolf. It would be any kind of, mostly beast, occasionally human individual. But yeah, if you just essentially pretend that it's a summoned familiar and then remove the familiar summoning part from it, it just makes it a lot easier. And I think. Word tier. Pokemon trainers be Pokemon training. But ultimately, I guess what I was getting at is with the mimics, I have to solidify a decision. I was trying to think like long term, how much does it really matter? Because the mimics were never really meant to be a long-term group of individuals in the story, and I think how I kind of planned on having them exist was like, okay, we had your little mimic arc, we did your thing, we helped you out, we got a truce, you know, you're here, and then we're kind of on amicable terms with Aegis, and then big event happens and we call upon the mimics, and the mimics kind of help out a bit, but their contribution wasn't super big, so they're not like super important. And then after that, they kind of don't really do anything, so it kind of felt like a throwaway addition anyways. It's more like the power comes from recognition, but the name itself allows someone to recognize a being's identity. I think the name itself allows them to have that self-actualization. Power itself comes from, I guess you could say, recognition. Yeah. Right. Like, like I said, it's like, you know, if a specific group of wyverns in an area are getting attacked ceaselessly by a crowdell, right, and then one wyvern fends them all off by themselves, there's like a really good chance that because of that, it would become an ennobled. Not always. It would have to usually have other feats too, or other moments of spirit or will, but that's usually what it comes down to. That's assuming it's not done by the manual method, the forced method, where somebody just goes, all right, we're making a pact, I'm naming your dumbass, get boomed. Maybe like in the same sense, right? In this story, that's the whole thing behind the breakers. There's breakers that are named, and a lot of the breakers that are named, they have extra power because of it, or extra utility. It's not always power. They just get more out of being named. Maybe they're more durable or do a little bit extra. Like Broadfeather, right? There's probably other swords out there that could move you in the direction you thrust, but because it's a named sword with meaning and spirit and will behind it, it becomes something greater than when it was originally. That's why like extra talented blacksmith or craftsmen are so well sought after and respected, because while another blacksmith could follow their process to a T and do exactly what they did, the will and the spirit and the mana, you know, the life signature behind it may not be there. Therefore, they're not going to create the same quality of good. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a way of writing in a bit of that, I don't want to say free will into the story, but it allows for characters to be a little bit larger than life, even outside of, oh, okay, it's fine, just knock over all my stuff, no biggie, I don't mind. Anyways, not really sure what I'm gonna do here, but I think I'll figure it out by the time I get there. I've been thinking about it, so okay. 30, Vladimir huffed. 30 mimics is the number you claim to have slain by yourself. That is correct, sir. Jamie nodded. Vladimir toyed with a squishy cat plush in his hand. What you say is true, and I'm assuming that it is. We can expect that number to be well over 1,000. No matter how good you are, that's impossible odds. Exactly my point, Jamie excitedly slammed his hand on the table. Vladimir raised his brow, causing Jamie to quickly pull his hands back. Sorry, Pops. Never mind that. Hardly see how sending you into the forest to die is a good plan of action. Come back when you have an idea with a more solid foundation. Jamie shook his head. Who else is able to escape danger like I can? Know my abilities, so what's the issue? That is precisely the issue, my dear boy. Vladimir raised his voice once more. If the mimics learn the true nature of your ability, could you honestly say that we're prepared to fight a small army of you? Vladimir rubbed his forehead. Jamie let the silence fill the air as he took a seat across from Vladimir. The problem is there's an active request in that forest. Raiders travel through there, and the locals of Century Village do their hunting and gathering there. Jamie paused. One simply cannot idle when there are lives at stake. You taught me that. Boy. Ugh. Fine. But Beatrix goes with you. Vladimir conceded. What? You're sending me in with that maniac again? What if shit gets too real? Won't be able to flee as readily with the both of us, Jamie complained. Either Beatrix goes with you or I suit up myself. Your decision, son. Vladimir's fangs poked out from his toothy grin. Eating old man. Fine, I'll give Betty a call. Wonderful. And it's settled. Jules Carroll will be initiating a mimic force survey. The intent of this mission is to identify the cause of the overpopulation and snuff it out by any means necessary. Vladimir stamped a piece of parchment on the desk. However, no lives may be lost on this endeavor yet. Yes, sir, Jamie smiled. A little while later, Jamie found himself on the northern outskirts of Mimic Forest. Where is she? He fiddled with a stick he found laying. As if on cue, a wyvern could be spotted in the near distance, barreling towards his direction. Alright, I won't have to chew her out for being late. Before the wyvern could begin its descent. Before the wyvern could I'll take a sip of water real quick. Imagine cooking yourself. That's crazy. Yeah, iron too bright. Okay. Before the wyvern could begin its descent, come on. Jamie saw a shadow diving at him. Gotta be fucking kidding me. This. Not again. Now, of all times. Jamie took a few steps back to the side and tossed his stick down. Bite me, you moss-headed dope. High-pitched voice rang through the average-height woman with deep skin was diving headfirst with her fist extended outwards. A long tail swiped rapidly at the air, speeding her up, aided by the fin at the tip. Just as she was about to make contact with Jamie, her eyes widened. You please. Jamie grabbed her outstretched hand and rotated her entire body, dampening the force before swinging her over his shoulder. Shut up. And then finished his movements by gently tossing her on the grassy hill. This is supposed to be a go in quietly type of thing. You listen to anything I said on the phone, buddy? Jamie chewed her out. Oops, my bad. I just wanted to see if I could settle our score, so I kind of forgot, Beatrix said. Settle what score? You always lose, you dork. Jamie waved her off. Exactly. Need to beat you at least once before I rank up. Beatrix waved the wyvern down. Or you could stop being a bum and just take the dragon certification already. We all know you qualified and would pass with ease. Jamie shrugged and scanned the tree line. Beatrix walked toward Jamie. Is that too much? No, it's fine. Beatrix walked toward Jamie proudly. I will beat you for taking my dragon certification. We both started around the same time, fought in the same war. You've always been one step ahead. Just you wait though. I've been grinding my ass off to beat you. This feels very expositioner. Feels bad, man. I guess it's not terrible. Maybe a couple too many lines. I'll revisit that in the future. I'm probably just feeling it feels exposition-y now, but I won't later. Definitely conversational, but it's specifically this part. Both started around the same time and fought in the same war. You've always been one step ahead. Okay, so here's the thing. This sentence ruins an entirely fine section, I think. Am I tripping? Does this feel exposition-y? Because like her attacking him and being like, we're supposed to go in quietly, and she's like, I just want to settle my score. I just want to beat you once before I rank up. That's all fine. Him kind of like dismissing her is fine. And her being cocky, being like, I will beat you before taking my dragon certification is fine. I could go, I will beat you before taking my dragon certification. Skip all this. Just you wait though. I've been grinding my ass off to beat you. I've been grinding my ass off to... I've been grinding my ass off. We'll be fine. I'll have to... To... push it? Remove? I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this. I have a feeling I'll leave it. It's not super egregious, but this is the kind of thing that like that I would like one strike, two strike this super hard within a certain amount of time. If I read this and then like within a page and a half, 2 pages, I saw something like this hard exposition-y again, I'd probably be like, listen here, you little bitch. Because something like this, I can always touch on again later, like when they spar, right? When they spar and be like, you could be like, I don't get it. We both started around the same time, fought side by side. How are you so much stronger than me? Like that would be so much. I'm so tired of you being so much stronger than me. That would be so much cleaner than using this. Yeah, just get rid of it. Don't be a bitch. It's fine. Dude, look at that. Ta-da. Acknowledged issue and said, nah, I won't worry about it, and then got rid of it all in the same breath. Am I so funny? Just you wait though. I've been grinding my ass off to be fine. Jamie looked at Beatrix with a glint in his eyes. Forward to it. Began his descent toward the woods. Go, buddy. Right. The two entered Mimi. Yeah, Mimi. The two entered Mimic Forest Mall. Deafening silence was only broken by the sound of their mute. After exchanging worried glances, they picked up their pace slightly. Oh wow, they aren't even trying to hide it. Jamie turned his attention northeast. He sensed the presence of something malicious much deeper in the forest. It feels closer to Oceanside than it does over here. He looked at Beatrix and tilted his head in the direction they would go. He'd be there already if it wasn't for her. It wasn't for her. Oh well. This too has advantages. Remaining silent, they carefully pushed onward. For about half an hour, the two found themselves surrounded by a small welcoming party of people with familiar faces. There's about 20 of them. How do you want to handle this? Beatrix assumed a fighting stance by materializing a chrominium whip in each hand. While they didn't have quite the same range as your average chrominium featured a retraction to form a small, short, light. God, I must ascend. I'm not long for this boil. Speaking of which, I'm taking this tiny break. Y'all know how I've had this head tick forever? Just that. This random head tick that just like the model just does. Question for you. Do we want to keep it? Do we think it's endearing, or do you want it to go away? Because I have the opportunity to get rid of it. was never supposed to be there in the first place. I thought it was because of something, but we're talking to the rigging artist. I've been informed otherwise. Time to tell. Well, they didn't have quite the same. Okay. Well, they didn't have quite the same range as your average Chrominium whip. They featured a retraction system to form two small short sword-like weapons. Featured a retraction system to form small short sword-like weapons. Weapons. I think we should reserve as much mana as possible. Focus on mobility and clean kills. I have a feeling we'll need all the strength we can get later. Right. Beatrix's affirmation was interrupted by a pincer attack from two Jamie clubs. She quickly parried each of their strikes before wrapping her whip around one's neck and the other's ankle. Upon pressing the button on her whips and flicking her arms across her body, whips retracted neatly from blades. On pressing the button on her whips and flicking arms across her body, whips retracted neatly into blades, causing them to drag up. Retracted neatly into blades. This caused them to drag over the body via sound, ripping their flesh. Hi Hope, how's it going? Welcome up. How would it be? Can't have this cause twice. Kill me. This caused them to drag. Caused trunks, bladed, whip, drag, cross, mix, flesh. Out of the first mimic rolled off of their body on the ground. Second mimic looked on in horror at their comrade. Their leg exploded, causing them to fall back. Second mimic looked on in horror at their comrade as their leg exploded, causing them to fall over back. Which legit had to restart on your phone the moment you sent that. Sadness, but hope everything's going well. Damn. I was just asking how you're doing. I'm doing well. Hopefully you're doing well. If you're not doing well, expect a nuclear bomb to land into your solar plexus. Really, that'll fix your problems. Screeching, the mimic fell. Screeching. The mimic. Why can't I talk today? Hello? The mimic flailed about on the forest ground until Beatrix extended her whip blade into its chest. In its heart. Sorry, mimic. Upon retracting her whip again, blue blood for the mimic landed. Green blood. Okay. Face. Ridiculous. Beatrix scoffed. You dare insult me with his face and your measly strength? Beatrix's roar caused the remaining 18 mimics to flinch, taking a step backwards. Intimidation check passed. Looking at Jimmy whispered into a Beatrix clone's ear shortly before snapping its neck with a crunch of its vertebrae altered two nearby Jamie mimics. Alerted. Fuck. Two nearby Jamie mimics. By the time the one on the right turned to face Jamie, he had already stuffed his arm through its chest. Behind its back, Jamie held the still beating heart in its palm. We were all sent to die here. Jamie slowly pulled his arm out of the fallen foe's carcass. More mimics began registering the systematic slaughter. 5 more of them joined the lone mimic to jump Jamie. You're feeling better? You just got over being sick again? Could the 2 of us stop systematically getting clapped by random illnesses? That'd be great. No, but I'm glad you're feeling better though. I just got done pumping antibiotic. Finished yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Seemed to help out a little bit. I hope that you stay healthy this time. Minimum half a year. That's my requirement. Five more of them joined the lone. What Lucky's up to? Jamie pictured her in her work attire. We're trying to envision what she would look like in one of the maid outfits. Okay. Jamie pictured her in her work attire before trying to envision what she would look like in one of the maid outfits. My immune system's crap. And absent. Good smell. Called. Boss. Absent minded. Dog. Cross. Face. As he rocked. Kill. Of a mimic. Maybe capitalize the mimic. I'll fix it later. I could just control F, replace all, and then do that. Really? Its cranium caved in and his foot met the ground, causing a small-scale eruption of dirt. His cranium caved in and his foot met the ground, causing a small-scale eruption of dirt. Forming a dust cloud up. I don't like the way this flowed. Cranium caved in. Is still running. Small scale eruption launched cloud of there. Cookie butter. The dust spread throughout the entire area within. The mimic that had been next to him since the start listened as his companions cried out one by one. A random merfolk-colored arm spun through the air, clearing some of the dust and landing on his feet. It was quickly followed by the piercing cry of his comrade. Begging. The mimic's form faltered, revealing a smooth gray humanoid with no features to speak of. Body shook as it heard 2 sets of footsteps approaching it. Alright, time for some changes. Oh. Without warning, Jamie appeared in front of the remaining. Now that all of your friends are dead, would you mind telling me if I'm going in the right direction? I figured I had to keep heading northeast-ish. That sound about right? Jamie waggled the leg of a mimic in front of its feet. The mimic fell to its knees and nodded. Good. Rix appeared behind Jamie. Are we gonna attack anyone else? Hmm. This whole thing needs to get shot. Yeah, we might have to rewrite this entire chapter, chat. Just about. So it begins. Ear tricks. Off. Mic. With that. Practice. They attacked us. The two walked in silence. Hold on, I'll be right back. Alright, this can all get deleted. We're awful. Let me check. No. Aren't. Chances are we're sent to gauge. The right column. Well, maybe side. Rest on. Fortunately, damn, I cut too many keys. Fortunately, it was so one-sided. I think they get the picture. There. Probably. Give me buttons. There. Silence for. Notice a strangely mishappen tree trunk had fallen to shaping. Fucking. I just said mishappen, chat. A strangely mishappen tree trunk. I'm gonna throw my head against the wall. I'm gonna take the fucking brains out my goddamn mouth. Throw it against the wall. Is this a speedrun? It is a Pokemon Emerald Battle Factory speedrun for L50 Silver Gold symbol WR. This is of the Battle Factory specifically. which is incredibly painful to speedrun, by the way. In my understanding. There's RNG and bullshit. Hold on, I'll be right back. Jamie jogged over to the massive log and placed on it. The smile resembled a small child receiving a present. Quick sidekick, he broke the tree to several splintered pieces. Side of where the tree had been. Side. What was left? What was left was a rustic-looking chest. A locked rustic chest. Beckoning him to come and claim its reward. It's beckoning to come and claim it. Jamie once more placed his hand down, this time directly on the chest. For a few moments, he poured some mana into it, causing the lock to burst open. Rubbing his hands together, he leaned over and opened the chest. Within it, he saw a few peculiar items. Letter, a pair of boots, scepter. There was more there. There was more there. There was more there. Note. Note. Okay, what's the box here? I've flicked a grain of rice attack. Boots and some kind of ring. Oh, no. Reading the note. Okay. Contents of this chest are destined for whomever may find it. A scepter for the wise, a pair of boots for the brave, a ring for the witty, and a bangle for the strong. A looking glass, a bangle, a ring. Oh, did I say a wing? Did I just fucking say a wing? Ew. Ring, bangle, glass, scepter, boots. They fucking... Letter. Pair of boots. Ring. Bangle. Eyeglass. And a scepter. Back in Beatrix. He reached him, pointed in the chest. Hey, can you use a new fat pack, please? Jamie requested. Oh. Hello again, Jamie. Oh, great. Here. The voice again. Past 30 minutes. Playable. You know, walking in silence. All that. Shut up. Beatrix jabbed as she slid her bag off her shoulders. Thank you, Betty. Sorry, I got distracted. I got lost in thought. Whatever, I'm over it. Beatrix smiled as she dropped the spoils into her bag. A warbling sound as each item dropped in. Keep pace, we should be there in the next half hour or so. Beatrix threw the pack back in her shoulder. I could feel something from over yonder. As they continued walking, Beatrix struck up conversation about how the local marine life had been acting strangely. See, I'm so good at my job, man. I totally forgot I wrote that line. I mean, it'd been nice if I around. Would have been nice if Beatrix was around earlier and could have said that earlier, but whatever. Tossed around many theories and speculated the long-term effects it could have. After some time, she abruptly changed the conversation. How are things with Lucky? She teased. Amy sighed. I don't know. I feel like I've been seeing less of her since she started at the cafe. feeling lonely, are we? Let's do this. Let's go. That's because R in us. We is.
Where did I think I could go? What a joke.
Beatrix is. How's it going, Krma? Jamie rolled buzz.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's aw, feeling lonely, are we? Well, I see her plenty every day. You're plenty. Hard worker. People seem to take quite a liking to her. Better be careful or someone might snatch her on you. Snatch her up on you. Beatrix giggled. I think I make decisions for her. She's welcome to do as she pleases. She wouldn't be getting snatched away from me. She would just be doing as she pleases. Doing
Even if I'm not ready,
whatever
I
he
have
wants.
to make this choice.
Jamie shrugged.
You've poured so many memories
Yeah,
into me,
I think you missed the joke.
giving
Jokes are
me
supposed to
so
be
much
funny.
that I feel like I'm about to overflow. Look at me, Roxas.
It's gonna overflow.
Who do you see? If you see somebody else's face, a boy's face, then that means I'm almost ready. This puppet will have
Beatrix abode. Jamie. Oh, shut up.
This is him.
Jamie.
Sora.
Back. Oh, you? That's better. A twig snapped, causing the two to bolt into battle-ready positions.
Your next,
Fuck.
Roxas.
Jamie scanned the area, taking in all the shadows, points of elevation, and fauna.
This is why I was created.
We got here fast. Face contorted with frustration. Remained silent, listening carefully for the slightest of movement. Let's end this game of hunter and prey, shall we? Jamie's voice was powerful as he addressed the woodland. Perhaps. An echoing voice called out to him. He turned his attention to the east, where he felt the slightest flare of moth. Mimics have long been peaceful, an important part of the ecosystem. What have you done to make it? What have you done to make it hostile? Jamie inquired. What have I done? Being from beyond sounded annoyed. It is you city dwellers that take as you please. You disturb our lands, killing us if we try to communicate. Beatrix continued scanning the area while Jamie held the being's attention. Multiple faceless mimics approaching. I mean, no disrespect when I say this, but the last time I checked, attacking travelers is not communication. Assault and attempted murder. I believe I'm wrong in saying this, Jamie probed. This is why there will never be peaceful resolution to the crimes committed against my kin. Alright, wait a second. Jamie put his hand out and relaxed his stance. Waved at Beatrix and she put her weapon away. Weapon so. Maybe we both have been going about this the wrong way. My name is Jamie, a Phoenix Rank Guild representative. Tarako. This here is Beatrix, a Wyvern ranked member of the guild. If we could avoid further bloodshed, we'd be more than happy to. Well, if we could avoid further bloodshed, we'd be more than happy to have an open dialogue with you. What's your name? Jamie took a slight step forward, and a small legion of mimics revealed themselves to him. Call me Slade. Gain from speaking now. Why hadn't you tried that before killing my kin and forcing the forest to birth me? Slade asked. Okay. Let's see. Slade, nice to meet you. Our multiple interactions with your kin, we have never been able to establish any kind of feasible line of communication until this very moment. are intelligent. I'm sure you can tell that I'm more capable of leveling mind that's I'm sure you can tell that I'm more than capable of leveling this entire area. Moment. That's not what I want. I simply want the attacks on our people to stop, Jamie explained. You wish for us to no longer defend ourselves while we get slaughtered. That is unusually cruel. Blade's voice grew with anger. There are sanctions, rules in place protecting this forest and its inhabitants from any harm. Any time we would enter this forest with the intent to kill something as if it had been attacking our people or endangering the ecosystem, Jamie put his hands up. A looming figure approached Jamie. So, deaths of my friends, family, were our fault. Alright, chat. Give me a couple minutes. I will be right back. You'll miss me too. Please, I shall return. Oh, Puppy Sensei. Bye, chat. No worries, Tasso. Get your stuff done. Good look. See. Now I know why I didn't have them fight. Amy just did good with it. Kinda. The deaths of my friends and family were our fault. So far, anytime I fought a mimic in this forest, it was purely out of self-defense. But anyway, simply walking direction. Act. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't criminals causing trouble that we've yet to detain. Be willing to hear a proposal for peace and protection? A figure appeared in front of Jamie and Beatrix, with a head taller than Jamie. His gray, featureless body rippled like some sort of liquid. The slade's mama from here. If mimics had royalty, this would be the pinnacle of that. Jamie studied Slade's form intently. Stopping me from just killing you here and now for revenge, Slade asked. Well, Slade, they could kill the both of us. There would certainly be heavy casualties, and the guild would send their own army to fell you and your people. Not to mention, the ones responsible for wronging all of you may never be caught and brought to justice, Jamie reasoned. Damn, see, but then when I look at it like this, and how Jamie would handle the situation like this, the only way an altercation starts is if Slade attacks, right? And while Slade is angry and he is feeling wrathful, Slade is also a reasonable, intelligent creature. And more forgiving than probably should be, and understanding. So, and this is exactly why I went this route. So unfortunately, I just have to make do. Okay, yeah, we're not rewriting it and having the mimics get wiped out. Okay, it's fine. This makes more sense. It just makes more sense. Characterizes everybody better. It makes more sense. I don't know why I was second guessing myself. Probably because I haven't read the chapter in a while. fucking whatever, man. If we do it this way, then we can have Harmony have a nice redemption arc too. Yeah, it's fine. Look what the original do. Blade seemed to look Jamie in the eye. Make a fair point, outsider. Rage inside of me is far too great. I can only imagine. But is it too great to risk the lives of your remaining kin? Too great to stop the criminals who attacked your fallen brethren? Jamie asked. Full 3 minutes went by and Slade finally responded. I cannot overlook the murder of my kin. Jamie listened intently. Are you willing to atone for your crimes against us? Jamie shrugged. How would you have me atone? Jamie, you can't be serious. Beatrix. Atone for what? You acted in self-preservation. Jamie put his into his lip and smiled. Shh, let's listen to what Slade has to say. Jimmy turned his attention back to the mimic. Listening, Slade. I meant what I said. I have no intention of harming any of you. I don't have. I would consider your crime, your people's crimes pardon, if we were to find an individual and then to meet for justice. Fine. It's work. Player. Jimmy pulled out his phone. Can you show them? Pardon me. Can you take their form so I know who I'm looking for? Jimmy restated his. Simple task. It wobbled slightly before reappearing as an outright blonde elf, strange scar across it. Jamie's phone clicked as he took a picture. Perfect. Well, it sounds like you're asking me to take on a quest to deliver someone to you. I'll do it. First, I need you to promise me something. Jamie smiled. Blade tilted his head slightly. What could you possibly do? I'd ask that you and the entirety of your kin no acts of violence to outsiders on threat to you. The attacks were to continue after. I simply cannot be. Return to me. You. Much appreciated. The attacks were to continue after I leave here. It'd be impossible for me to protect you. Jamie waved his hand. A tiny piece of metal with a vicious phoenix-shaped button. If anyone attacks your people unprovoked, press this button. Jamie tossed the device to Slade. Slade grabbed the item out of the air, placed it on the chest. It sunk into him, disappearing from view. Have my word, Jamie. But you are a strange outsider. I can sense a familiar sensation from within you. I will wait favorably. Wonderful, Jamie exclaimed. Turned to leave, but hesitated for a moment. Blade? What is it? I'm sorry for the pain we've caused you. I'm sorry for the pain I've caused you. Blade remained silent and watched as the pair walked. What a strange one. Blade sighed as the outsider left. Wait, back. What the hell was that? Jenny and Beatrix stepped out of the tree line and into the open west side of Mimic Forest. Sounds of wildlife happily buzzing around. Enough time had passed that the ice clouds had overcast clouds. Clothes felt wet from. I don't know why you're so upset. That could have been a bloodbath, Jim. Act in full, Beatrix. Amy kept walking, and watered innocent mimics. What's your point, Betty? Beatrix grabbed Jamie by the shoulder. Are you fucking stupid? They attacked us first. Jamie stopped walking and turned to face Beatrix. Right, we defended ourselves. They had known we meant no harm. attacked. Like we would have attacked them if we knew the same. But we went in there with the intent to wipe them off the map, so what is your problem? Amy's expressionless face matched his dead cool. You know as well as I do that this kind of logic that casualty. Forgotten the Millennium War. Punched her. But Vladimir reminds us about it every month. Have you forgotten that it was through the efforts of this reasoning that the war finally came to an end? I'm just skipping the part where we elevate the death toll to millions. Amy reasoned. I always do this. Do what exactly? Try to do my job? Oh, Beatrix threw a right hook at Jamie, placing it squarely on his cheek. Her eyes widened and she did a double tap. Happy now? Can we keep going? Be lucky. Jamie turned away and began walking towards the hills where we left the walk. Why? Why didn't you dodge? Feel like it was necessary. Jamie stated dryly. Not like you were gonna hurt me or I fell still for a moment. Jamie lifted his right leg to step forward once more. Overwhelming sensation of bloodlust filled the air, and from behind him faced me. Sad as his foot reached. He sent wave around the area. Smaller trees bent from the presence. Grass tore around. Blood dripped from her palm. Drip caused her bulge. Bubba. I don't think we should do this. Scared. Haunted. I think you're just scared of being left behind. Check that back. A single drop of rain fell past Jamie's field of it hit the ground, which struck at him. Jamie appeared behind her, as though she predicted it. Now lashed out his back. Happily weaving the wide attack, Jamie slipped to her side and landed a clean liver shot with his happily wide attack. Jamie slipped to her. Beatrix gasped, fell to her knees, gritting her teeth. Rain came down like a violent, instantly drowning them. Jamie's slicked back hair drooped down, covering his eyes slightly with bangs. Running his hand through his hair, he calmly addressed. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Rain seemed to slide off of it. Want your goddamn pity. And it's so easy. Granted powers equal. No burdens, no financial worry, no adversity. And you think you could just do whatever the fuck you want? Someone needs to beat the stupid face of yours. Beatrix's chest heat. Damn, Tom. Really feel. Jamie frowned. I thought we were friends. Closer than that. Never knew you thought about me this. Thought about me. Jamie looked away from Beatrix and felt the twinge. You don't get it, dude. Something fundamentally wrong with you. Close enough for that. Who else? Really close. Fine. Not together. Where? Yet. Beatrix attempted to approach Jamie again, without fanfare. Weird. She quickly looked over her shoulder, but he wasn't there. You can't just run away from me forever, Jamie Jamison. Her scream shook her chest and burnt her. The dark figure in the tree line behind her watched, dropped to her knees once more. She looked at her right fist. She looked at her right foot. Did her right fist and felt her chest grow tighter. Done. Beatrix covered her mouth as she screamed out in agony, slamming the ground. For several minutes of remaining still, Beatrix got up and ascended the hill. She went to adjust the strap on her back for the fat pack, but realized it wasn't there. She died. Thoughts were interrupted when she reached the peak on seeing Jamie tying the bag to the wyvern. When did he? She remembered back to when he appeared behind her and dropped her. Fast is he really? Ready to head back. Jamie's monotone voice caught her off guard. Beatrix averted her gaze. I thought you left. Beatrix, I'm an asshole, not a monster. That hero. Jamie walked over to his wyvern. Beatrix muttered absent-mindedly. Your eyes. Who flew out of the area heading back to the drop-off? Jamie stayed a few paces behind the entire flight. Jamie and Beatrix finally reached Aegis and made their way to the Fool's Barrow. Neither of them spoke a word to each other. Jamie pointed at the hospital, grabbed some of the loot inside Beatrix's backpack before hurrying inside. After a little while, he came back out with his gear still in. But the person I was looking for is already checked out. I'll catch them at the guild or something later. That's real shame. Tough. Okay though. Catch them at the guild or something later. He explained what seemed distant. Once at the Fool's Carol, the pair hurried back to Vladimir's office. They reported the events of their quest. However, Jamie left out the details of the outburst. Really interesting. Vladimir rested his chin. His elbows placed for a mahogany desk. I think I can get a little further, then I gotta be done. I think there's validity to Slade's claims. And if there was no outside party committing crimes, he's clearly sentient, angered by the murder. That alone merits investigation into Buddy, Vladimir raised an eyebrow. Beatrix had yet to make eye contact with either of them. Yeah, whatever he says. I have a terrible headache and I should be going. Check in with Dr. Hobbs. Vladimir straightened his posture. Worried look painted on his face. Oh, not serious. Rest, Eddie explained. Well, if anything changes, check yourself into the hospital immediately. Beatrix copied Vladimir's cadence of tone. I know. Very well. You're dismissed, Betty. Vladimir smiled and watched as Beatrix left. Oh, Pops, Jamie said awkwardly before taking a seat. What is it? Jamie shut the door behind Beatrix. Send anyone else after us, did you? What? No. Would possess you to think I would burn resources with a cause? Vladimir's shocked expression made you. Yeah, I thought not, said worriedly. It's just someone or something else was not forced with us. I know for a fact no merchants or other guild members were out there today. Checked ahead of time. Jamie ran his hand through his hair. Vladimir spun a pen in his hand. Probably felt the presence of more mimics. This is different from the mimics or Slade. It was malicious, dark, heavy like a mountain on my chest. Rag shoved down my throat. Jamie leaned his chair back and looked at the ceiling. Fact. Claim. That is no pleasant imagery, boy. Vladimir furrowed his brow. Well, Jamie leaned forward carefully, setting his chair alongside the ground. Wasn't the slightest bit pleasant. What you're describing sounds like an old folktale, Vladimir stared off. I'm supposed to be. I wasn't able to confirm anything. I think we should be careful in the coming day. Something isn't. Jamie rubbed his temples in frustration. Can't figure it out. Their mana alignment has been off for a while now. No surprise should big changes be coming in the future. Vladimir reasoned. Be fine though. Not me that I'm worried about. So, Vladimir gave his son a warm smile before offering some. Why don't you visit your old home for a bit? Time to relax. Who knows? Maybe you'll forget these worldly troubles. I'd rather not. I'd be lucky at the front desk. See where she gets off. I'll see when she gets off, so I know when to pick her up. Jamie explained. Vladimir pointed to the door. Welcome back, Tasho. I'm no longer asking. Go. Relax. Fine. All if needed. Yes, sir. Jamie got up and left the office, heading for the stairwell. Getting to the 3rd floor, he counted the wooden floor panels right to the ground door. 5, 6, 7. I sound a little quieter than before. I think I slid back a bit. Is that better? A trippy line of logic for me. Don't fuck me up, man. Stopped for a moment to examine the dark-aged bronze handle. Gently placed his hand on it and released a tiny trace on it. Click. Is this an open one or a slide one? Look. The door handle unlocked and he stepped through the threshold into his home. What the? Felt a warm presence coming from his living room. Lucky? Kicked off his boots and quickly walked through the hall. His kitchen, through the hall. Quickly walked through the hall, his kitchen, and then... His eyes lit up when he saw Lucky passed out on the wooden floors. Legs were tucked away underneath the kotatsu. Silver hair was down, gleaming like a precious silk and rays of light that escaped the clouds to come through the window. Sorry, what? Her silver hair was down and gleamed like a precious silk in the rays of light. Escaped the clouds, come through the window. Her breaths were deep and she snored lightly. Huh. The most peaceful looking Lucky face I've ever seen. He took a step forward but quickly changed his mind and went back to the kitchen. Check the fridge. Usually Cleo keeps a special snack in here for the maids. Jamie nearly jumped back upon opening the fridge and seeing its content. Earlier I mentioned ennobled swords from legendary blacksmiths kind of have their willpower in the sword, and new blacksmith replicated epic sword upgrades. Yeah, so it's less that they're ennobled swords and that, like, that's the concept of breakers, right? Where like somebody could make broad feather. 100 blacksmiths could make broad feather, but only like one broad feather exists for a reason. You can't replicate a true breaker, a true artifact. Like there's artifacts, right? And there's goods. Like the big small bag is an entirely unique version of a bag of holding compared to the fat pack. They have similar utility and uses, but they're not exactly the same. One is clearly meant for a specific purpose and superior in its own ways. Not to say artifacts or basic tools can't be better than a breaker in certain regards, but like breakers are their own thing, and some breakers are fully sentient, and some breakers like have their own life force and mana. First question is, let's say the secondary blacksmith becomes legendary. Could their older mimic swords become a breaker in retrospect before the new blacksmith became legendary? Like, could something they made when they were learning gain its own sense of breaker status? Is that what you're asking? Like something they made 20 years ago become something legendary? In theory, yes. Not in theory, in practice, yes. Technically, it's happened. But usually there's like, it doesn't just happen, right? It's not like just laying around in their storeroom, and then it just randomly becomes ennobled. Or not ennobled, jeez, now I'm saying ennobled. It becomes a breaker. Essentially, the idea is the stronger something's spirit or will, essentially its gate, right? The more of an impact it'll have on the things in its vicinity. So for example, if you have a cluster, and this applies to humanoids in my world too, if you have like, let's say, a really strong guild leader, and that really strong guild leader were to train a group of trainees, right, and they're together all the time, and you have a weak guild leader and they were to have the exact same trainees in a different timeline, and both of them, like, not weak in terms of power, but in terms of their spirit, their will, their gate, right? The one that has a stronger will, a stronger presence, stronger whatever, that one and its trainees will also have a higher chance to grow as time goes on. An ennobled that existed as a weakling 1,000 years ago and now has crazy legends around it hyping it up cause it to retrospectively become powerful 1,000 years ago, resulting in timeline actually changing. Hypothetically, I think that would be possible, like in theory, if it had some kind of interaction with it. But it's not going to be like, how do I explain this? It's not going to be like ennobled live for 10,000 years. Years 1 through 5,000, it was really, really weak, right? And then come year 9,000, it started becoming stronger, started doing more feats, started doing things. Became an ennobled at year 9,500. Year 10,000, it became incredibly, unfathomably strong. All of a sudden, the timeline, way back when, that one just becomes ennobled. That wouldn't be how it would work. There'd have to be some kind of interaction where it either goes back in time, sees its younger self, interacts with its younger self, and imbues its younger self, giving it its name. That wouldn't really break the timeline per se. Well, it would, but that would just kind of happen ad nauseum. Plus, also, there's no, how to explain this? There's no, the way timelines work, at least in this story, is there is no like main timeline. Everything is branching. So it kind of wouldn't really matter. At that point, they'd just be in a new timeline. The legends and word of mouth wouldn't necessarily change how strong and ennobled was in the past. Not really, no. It might in a different past though, like a different timeline. Not a current one. Because like, let's say for example, timeline 1 is happening at 0 time, right? And timeline 1 at 0 time, this is your 0 time. It doesn't get to be an ennobled until timeline 10. By timeline 100, it's so well known. It's a household name, has its own legends, etc., etc. Well, in timeline 23, their timeline 0 may not have started until like moment 450, which is, 350 moments later than when timeline 0 had its being be this widespread legend. And that one might have a higher chance of becoming an ennobled just right then and there, because technically they're tied to each other. Because again, the timelines aren't really linear or intersecting, but a lot of that's like doesn't really matter for the specific story in many ways. Have I ever explained how all step works, by the way? Have I explained the whole premise behind that power and why it's so fucked up? I don't know if I have. So essentially what all step is all step. I have, okay. Well, I'll give the quick summary. All step creates an alternative timeline. Just straight up, just creates one. The user interacts with the alternate timeline and then conjoins or reconnects their original timeline and the alternate timeline that just branched off together and erases the alternate timeline, all in real time. So what happens is they essentially step out of their timeline, move in a different one, step back in, and then they're good to go. That's not impervious to being fucked with, which is why when people know the trick, they're able to deal with it. Usually, if they're, smart enough or good enough. But that's kind of how it works. And really strong practitioners of the all step are able to do more than just move around. They can cast spells and do a bunch of other stuff while in that timeline. But that's like one person. That's one character that can do all that. And yeah, that's really. But yeah, no. I think all this hypothetical stuff is really fun, but fortunately, yeah, I don't think too much of it's gonna have an impact. It's not like this specific series and power system and stuff will ever be big enough to have it like spawn like RPG system type D&D book or anything like that, so it kind of doesn't really matter, unfortunately. But it's still cool to think about and talk about because that shit's always super fun, I think, personally. I mean, I could talk about the book and the book theories all day. I try doing that with my mom sometimes, and I'm like, she just like, I could tell that she's just like yapping me and whatever, and I'm like, all right, it's annoying. I can't really talk to Astra about it because she's just like, I'm happy for you. I'm like, thanks. Yeah, it's hard to talk to people about it unless they're into it, which I understand. The struggles of being an author, I suppose, and being really passionate about a project. Jamie nearly jumped back opening the fridge. What the? I'm shopping. The fridge have been, it's like, how to explain it? It's like being a super fan or a big fan of an IP, but you're essentially the only fan. Does that make sense? And it's like, well, even if there's like other people that like it, they're not going to like it nearly as deeply as you. And you're like, well, who the fuck do I talk to about this shit? I'm not saying like pity me or anything. I'm just saying like that's how you could kind of relate to it and understand. Liking something in a bubble is always hard. Fridge had been filled to the brim with various meats, fruits, and goodies. On the top of a carefully wrapped dish was squid on a stick. Jamie saw it. A note was placed on the top of a carefully wrapped dish with squid on the stick. Okay. That'd be a lot better. Note was placed. Jamie surveyed the shelves, noticed prepared. The feeling there's crossover into power scaling space when it comes to discussing stuff like this. Except power scalers will say everything in a matter-of-fact way instead of speculative, even though they barely anything is, they say, is backed up most of the time. Yeah, it's almost like the power scaling discussions are a waste of time and kind of annoying. Not saying that they are annoying, but Jesus Christ. Get a personality, don't make it all about your favorite character being stronger than everything for no fucking reason. Ain't that hard. He read it aloud. Lucky had a hard day and could use a little extra attention. Excuse me, that was gross. Lucky had a hard day and could use a little extra attention. At least I think. I know you will, but I'm going to say it anyway. Take it easy on her, will ya? Maybe take tomorrow off too? She said she wanted to be alone, but who knows? Maybe if it's you, it'll be a different story. Leo. I'll have to thank her. I'll have to thank her for doing all this for Lucky. I wonder what happened though. Jamie looked back into the living room and put the note in his pocket. She changed quickly. Headed down one of the hallways and into an old bedroom, doing his best to ignore various photo frames and memorabilia. Okay. Pulled open his dresser's drawers and quickly grabbed a high-quality pair of black joggers, a Krma t-shirt, and a cafe-branded hoodie. He hid his underwear inside of them before heading into the bathroom. After a quick shower and freshening up, he threw his clothes on and went back to the kitchen. Pulled out the squid on a stick and various snacks, warming up what needed to be hot when served. Also pulled out a 6-pack of in-season the in-season Raz Blonde beer before heading to the carefully balancing the various dishes and snacks on the way. Kotatsu was easily filled with the items he placed on it. Reached for the remote on the TV stand across from the couch and turned on the TV, loading up YouTube. NewTube, I'm so funny. Fidget.tv and NewTube. God damn, I'm so good at this. He scrolled through his subscriptions list until he found Anko and put on an older highlights video. I don't think Lucky's seen this one yet. He then placed the remote down and leaned over towards Lucky, his face above hers. Placing his hand on her shoulder, he began to speak. Luck, what are you doing? Lucky's eyes cracked open. He quickly leaned back. I was just trying to wake you up. You like eating with me? I'm starving. Jamie said, trying to hide his blushing ear. I knew I smelled something good. Lucky yawned and sat up. I didn't do the nyai thing here. Oh, I did the autocorrect. Nice. You would know how to make a girl happy. Beamed at Jamie. Is she actually a girl though? Never really thought about it. Jamie pondered. Lol. The two sat under the table and ate food happily for several minutes, occasionally laughing at a segment on Uncle's highlight video. The rain had finally come to a complete stop, and the sun began shining freely once more. Oh, that's on the nose, isn't it? Lucky took a deep breath and changed the conversation. Aren't you gonna ask about it? Lucky asked. Oh, what? Jamie mumbled through a mouthful of food. My eye, being in your place, anything? Lucky grabbed the last mozzarella stick from the basket. I thought about it, but I figured if you wanted to talk about it, you would. You? Jamie inquired. Not really. He bit down on the stick, causing cheese to fill her mouth. Then we won't. So, do you have any plans for tomorrow? Nope. I have off, apparently. Lucky double tapped her phone screen and swiped a few times, pulling up her schedule she showed Jamie. Oh, looks like you're on leave until you're ready to return. Damn. Jamie looked at the TV. Feel like going out with me tomorrow? Before the feel like going out with me tomorrow before the Eventide celebration event. Also, thanks for the inspo, so I could land on Eventide, Tasso. Big help. Lucky's tail wagged excitedly, bouncing off the ground. No. Confused. That's fine. I'll also find some other cute Neko to hang out with then. Lucky lunged at Jamie. I was joking, take me. Powder in his chest. Yeah, I know. I was kidding too. Sorry, some of that. Oh, you're fine. When I was having a hard time coming up with the name for the event, he gave me inspiration so I could name it the Evening Tide event. I was just saying thank you for that. I was kidding. Date then. Like for real this time, or just like a friend date? Lucky asked shyly. Date. Jamie's heart red. Oh. For the hat pats. Who said I'd want to do that? Lucky teased. Before Jamie could rebuttal, she continued. Thank you. I look forward to it. Alright. Let's end. Oh, we're right at the end. Never mind. Let's finish this. The two enjoyed each other's company for the rest of the night and decided to crash there rather than heading back to the log cabin. They had turned on Anko's stream as per their usual nightly ritual, sat on the couch together. After a while, Lucky found herself laying on Jamie's lap, and he was petting her head. I can't believe Jamie doesn't know that Anko's really Stella, and I do. She thought as she drifted off into her dreams. But the two knew it, they had both passed out. But they had been long and trying. The comfort of each other allowed them to slip into deep time being. To insert live okay, chapter 7 done. Got a bit more to think about and work through this time, but it's edited. Yay. Another stream, another chapter. Little by little. 5,800 words. Okay.